We're following the campaign trail in a slightly different way today, looking at branding and colors in this mayoral election. Now, more and more you'll start to see colorful election signs on lawns like this around the city, and it's those colors and those font choices, and they're carefully chosen to sway you, the voter. If a suspected case of Ebola pops up here in Winnipeg, they'll be taken here to the Health Sciences Centre. The Winnipeg Regional Health Authority says they're ready and there's a plan in place, but some frontline workers aren't so convinced. On Kevin Yule's farmland here, he grows a lot of alfalfa hay, which is used to feed the cows that he has, and it's usually grown right here, but as you can see, if you take a look, it's all underwater, water as far as the eye can see.
Thanks for joining us. We're learning more today about a Winnipeg man who was severely burned in a condominium explosion last night. The blast happened at a 3-unit condo in the Assiniboia neighborhood, specifically on Apple Lane off Sturgeon Road and Saskatchewan Avenue. The CBC's LindsayTsuji is at the scene and joins us now live.
People near this Assiniboia area condo still can't believe the scene right outside their window. If you look behind me, the house had to be completely torn down. And if we zoom in just a little bit on the rubble here, you can see what's left of what looks like a kitchen. Just a few things left behind, telling us a bit more about the families most affected by this tragedy.
Yeah, that's what's left of my house.
A day after the blast, people here are still coming to grips with what happened.
It's pretty sad because, especially, all my animals are locked in my house, and you've got firemen telling you that you can't go in your house to get your animals. You get really emotional. And all I gotta say is, thank goodness they're okay.
Listen and her family live next door to the explosion site. She's most worried about her friend Corey Schrader and his family, the man who was home when the blast went off. Paramedics arriving on the scene were shocked to be treating one of their own. Schrader is a city paramedic.
To hear that this is a colleague, a person that I can identify with that had this happen to them, I personally is just shocked.
Neighbors tell CBC News Schrader may have been using a flammable chemical to remove carpeting when the explosion happened Tuesday night. He's in hospital with 2nd and 3rd degree burns. Chris Broughton spent most of the night in the hospital with Schrader's family. He says Schrader was lucky to be wearing a mask, a move that likely prevented his airways from getting burned.
And when something like this happens to one of us, it really affects all of us. I can see myself and my family in this situation. I've done renovations on my own home.
Back at the scene, damage is listed at $450,000, and it's left many families at a loss.
It's unbelievable, The word homeless just has a whole new meaning to me. You think you don't have a job, I'm going to become homeless, but you could have a plan to go home and you don't come home to your home. It's done. It's blowing up.
Schrader is now in stable condition. The exact cause of the blast remains under investigation. LindsayTsuji, CBC News, Winnipeg. I'm LindsayTsuji. Airline fees have been going up in the past few years, and if you plan to fly WestJet, you better pack light. See what you could soon be paying for. That's coming up on CBC News Winnipeg. Well, the doors are open here at the H&M in Polo Park, and shoppers are getting their first look at some of the clothing and some of the accessories here. Now, it's the first outlet here in the province, and it's some wondering what that might mean for the retail landscape in the city. More and more shops here in Winnipeg are selling things like this, vaporizers or e-cigarettes. Now, instead of inhaling smoke, you're actually breathing in steam and then blowing out vapor. Now, there's been a lot of talk about where these devices can be used. Now, some are saying that they should be banned in schools here in the city altogether. Winnipeg police say at this point it looks like 2 vehicles got into a confrontation here at Maple Glen and Murbury Road. They say it happened early Sunday morning at about 2:45 a.m. The passenger of one of the cars got out and the driver of the other vehicle hit the gas and slammed into him and took off. We're here outside the Family Community Center daycare, and normally you'd see some kids running around this playground, but that's been put on hold because daycare workers here say it's unsafe for the kids here after they found some objects that have fallen from way up there, and it all started with a beer can. Here at St. Malo Provincial Park, people are looking forward to another great summer weekend, but it's not just any regular camping going on here. These guys are roughing it out vintage style.
Singing seems to help a troubled soul.
Some good tunes, a slice of the simple life, and for these campers, a blast from the past. Chris Manzuk pretty much grew up in this bright red bowler camper.
My parents bought it like 15 years ago, and it used to be like a bedroom behind their cabin basically. So once they sold that, we pulled it out back home and I started fixing it up.
The 25-year-old brought this 1973 bowler back to life with some much-needed TLC. Now he travels across the country to meet others with similar trailers, and he's not the only one. It's the 5th annual Manitoba Fiberglass and Vintage Camper Rally, showcasing all kinds of lightweight compact trailers. It's where you'll find this unique caravan called a bowler, and it has a special Winnipeg connection.
The bowler was actually invented by a Winnipeg gentleman by the name of Ray Oleko in 1968. He took his family camping, and he also got tired of the tent camping, and he decided that he was going to design a camper around his family.
It's been more than 20 years since these so-called eggs on wheels have been in production, many since finding their way to backyards and fields, waiting for rallies like the one in St. Malo to bring them back to life. It's a summer phenomenon across North America, with people traveling far and wide to show them off.
It's lightweight, so you pull it with your truck and you get a lot better mileage than what the big rigs get. And we have everything in that trailer.
The common interest of these trailers brings us together, but once you're here, it's meeting new friends, renewing friendships, telling stories, sharing experiences.
Organizers say anyone can drop by St. Malo this weekend to check out the tricked out trailers. LindsayTsuji, CBC News, St. Malo. We're here at City Hall. It's the main location for the advance polls in this civic election, and we started to see people start to trickle in to cast their ballot. Now, the ladies here at the table have given us a bit of a rundown of what happens. So people come up to the desk, they show their ID, and then they're given this white sheet of paper, which the ladies here fill out, and then they can head in there to cast their ballot. And advance polls have been open for over a week now, and election officials are hoping people come out to vote. I'm LindsayTsuji. His family toiled on sugar beet farms here in Manitoba and Japanese-Canadian internment camps in British Columbia. Now he's charged with building a legacy to this dark chapter of our past. That's coming up on CBC News Winnipeg. A solemn gathering to remember lives lost. Luai Al Ghul's family and friends gathered to pay their respects. Al Ghul got word 10 members of his family died in Gaza Saturday.
I got the news from my sister. She texted me saying that Nermeen and her children and my other cousin Mohammed and the other cousins, they've been bombed. This is the picture. He sent it to me.
The Winnipeg lawyer says 3 of his cousins' homes were demolished by Israeli shelling in Rafah during the weekend. 2 families managed to escape, but 10 people didn't make it out alive. Al Ghul's cousin sent him these photos. Of those 10 people, 6 of them were children, some as young as 10 months old.
It's a very tough feeling when you feel like you're helpless, you know. You can say, I'm praying for you, I feel for you only so many times. And then I feel sometimes ashamed to call him again, because what am I going to say?
Heavy fighting raged in parts of Gaza on the weekend. Israeli shelling left dozens dead and more than 400 wounded. Fighting has been going on for nearly a month now. According to Hamas medical officials, nearly 1,900 Palestinians have been killed. 64 Israeli soldiers have also died, as well as 2 Israeli civilians and a Thai laborer who worked in Israel. Al Ghul says the family who survived are trying to remain strong.
These are not people who are wishing for death. You know, they go to schools, they look for jobs, they play in the streets, they call you uncle. You know, they wish for a future.
Most of Al Ghul's family live in the Gaza region. They say they feel helpless, they can't do more for them. But news of a temporary ceasefire might be a sign of relief. They just hope their family gets out of this alive. LindsayTsuji, CBC News, Winnipeg.